We back into the conversation, into the kitchen of discussion. And that being, in my own words, the podcast, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, on a Wednesday, hottest show on the streets, Touchdown Alabama magazine. And we go to the phone lines right now. We pick up a good friend of mine, former Alabama defensive back, Chris Rogers, who played from 2005 to 2009 on that first national championship team of the Nick Saban era. He is also the founder and CEO of Together Assisting People Tap Inc. out of Birmingham. Chris, what's going on, brother?
Man, how you doing? Pleasure to be on.
No problem, man. Very, very happy to have you on here, Chris. Exciting to finally get this chance to catch up with you on another edition here of the show. But my man, you were on the first ever undefeated, and right now the lone undefeated national championship of a Nick Saban era at Alabama, 2009. What was the hardest part? What was the hardest part of achieving that undefeated season? I know Alabama caught some breaks here and there, but for you on the field, you holding your breath, you playing as hard as you know how to play, what was the hardest part of getting that undefeated season?
Well, for us, it started in 2008. Us coming up short to Florida in the SEC championship game, and then Florida ended up going on winning the national championship that year. So we kind of felt like we could have went back to back. So it just started in the off season. That off season was leadership. Everybody bought in. No coaches had to tell us anything. It was just guys. I guess the maximum limit you can work out is like 50 hours a week or something like that. Man, we would double that. Everybody from the walk-ons to the starters, we probably put in over 100 hours on our own, just doubling the time because we wanted to win the championship so bad. So when people talk about the breaks we got in that season, everybody knew we weren't gonna lose. We was all in. Even to just a Tennessee game, we knew we was gonna block that field goal. If we had to block it 5 times, we was gonna block it 5 times. That was just our attitude and mentality that year. We was just all in.
You mentioned something there, Chris, when you said nobody had to tell us nothing. And I want you to kind of elaborate on that mindset, because this day and age, coaches have to stay on these guys about the work ethic, the energy, have the right technique, have the right tendencies. Coaches have to stay on the modern day athlete. But what had y'all with that mentality of, Coach, y'all don't got to say nothing. We know how to get it done. We going to get it done. What allowed y'all to have that type of mindset?
I think it was twofold. The kids coming to Alabama nowadays, Alabama shining, won 5 national championships in the last decade. But prior to us, Alabama haven't won a championship since 1992. And we kind of felt like we let the fan base down due to probation and other things that didn't have no choice of us. So, us juniors and seniors, we was just man, we tasted it. Florida was a great team, but they weren't really better than us. So and Coach Saban told us all the stuff he was telling us. At first, it was seemed crazy. He'd be talking to us and we'd be like, man, what is he talking about? But then after a while, after us playing some tough teams and realized they just weren't that much better than us, we just had to execute. Then we just went all in, and we ended up going undefeated the next year. And we went undefeated in 2008, but 2008 was kind of I ain't gonna say we didn't believe it, but we knew it was good, but we just, it was just how good are you, right? And we came up short in the SEC championship game, and then the next following year, we just knew we had what it took to win the whole thing.
If you're just tuning into the show, ladies and gentlemen, in my own words, the podcast, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, and I have Chris Rogers, former Alabama defensive back who played from 2005 to 2009, part of that first national championship team with Coach Saban, and the founder of Together Assisting People Tap Inc. out of Birmingham. Chris, a lot of coaches would be happy with just one championship, one, maybe 2, but Nick Saban is a completely different breed of coach. He's got 5 national championships at Alabama, 6 overall. He's gunning for that 6th at Alabama, 7th overall. Something is continuing to still push him. You played for him, And now that you kind of watch him on the other side, what do you think is continuing to fuel Coach Saban to make him go like, I still want more?
I think it's twofold. You know, like when you have like your assistants, they leave and take other head coaching jobs, and they think they can do what you did, right? And he kind of letting them know, like, you can't do what I do. This is you. Yeah, you worked with me for 5, 10 years, but it's hard to replicate this. So that motivate him, right? You need a foe, right? You need a rival to push you. And I think Coach Saban got more than a couple of those former coaches at other universities pushing him, just to let him know, like, hey, I'm the greatest. And then also, too, just Coach Saban mentality where he just practices, you know, we ain't playing against nobody. We're playing against ourselves. How great can I really be? And I just think, like, that is a mindset, and it carried over. The players buy into that and not just think it's just gibberish, but, like, he really believed that. Like, that's all he talks about, like, how much better can I get as a coach? How much better can I get as a player? You know, and then just carry over to your life, kind of be a better husband. So I just think if the young players really understand what he's really trying to do, and I think it'll make them better overall. And it'll be a win-win. They have a chance to go in the NFL, starting their own business after college. So, it helps them all the way around.
Speaking of being a better father, Chris, you are a father to a beautiful baby girl. So congrats to you, my man. Congrats to you. Congrats to you on that. And when you look at Alabama's defense, when you look at Bama's defense last season, it was not at the standard that the coaching staff wanted it to be, the fans wanted it to be, of course, the players also. And I understand it wasn't as bad as what people make it out to be. But when you are comparing yourself against yourself, last year's defense wasn't at that peak. So when you watched Alabama in 2019, what were some things that stood out to you that you thought may have been an issue?
Well, I really, truly believe that losing Mosley early in the season and then losing some other key linebackers, it's like some people's, you know, I call people like the glue guys, right? Some guys, they don't really show up in the stat sheet, but their presence, their leadership, you know, it just, you know, you just can't really replace it. And I think Alabama had a couple of those spots, and they was trying to gain it. And, like, the young guys who played early last year, it's going to make this year's defense a whole lot better because now they got experience. Alabama really don't sympathize the defense for nobody, but last year it was kind of like handcuffed in a little bit. So we really weren't able to do any exotic blitzes. We really wasn't able to change anything. So we was in base a lot, and we got exposed. And like you said, you know, playing at Alabama, the secondary, the defense, we all accustomed to being ranked top 5 in the nation, and we ain't top 5. Even if Alabama defense might have finished top 20, I mean, that's a down year for us. So, especially with all the talent we get in every year, it just, you know, it was disappointing, but I still got confidence and faith that the guys gonna bounce back and, you know, and have a great year this year.
Now, as a former DB, Chris, and of course, when you played, Kareem Jackson played, Marquise Johnson played, Coach Saban had y'all firm in the technique. Like, y'all knew to cut the angle off. Y'all knew to break up on passes. Y'all knew how to make tackles. Like, y'all group, the 09 group, was just a lockdown defensive back group. Now, coming into this upcoming season, what do you want to see improved within the secondary?
Well, I'll tell you two things that changed, right? Like, so for me to you, like, majority of us was like true corners, right? Like true DBs. This generation now is like Alabama's getting a lot of athletes. So what I mean by athletes, they're getting a lot of guys who play wide receiver, safety, corner, and they're going back and forth. So, like, it's taking them a year to, like, actually learn the system, learn how to be a true corner. So it's a growing pain. So that part is kind of, you know, hindering us. But I think, like, athletic-wise, the guys are so athletic, they should be able to pick up on it and play faster and better. So, but the other part in being the Coach Saban system, it's so complicated, it sometimes make you play slower than you are. So, like, I'll give you a prime example. If you run a 4-4, but you don't really understand where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do, game, you might only run a 4-6 because you ain't sure. But if you're somebody who run a 4.6 and you know the defense inside and out, you play like you run a 4.4. So like that's the pros and cons of the defense. Like if you know it inside out with your hands backwards, and if you're a 4.4 guy and you know the defense, you're gonna play like you run a 4.2. So knowing where your help at, knowing to low shoulder, go up high, give a tango call, switch call, like those things separate you. And then that's why like that what made it so difficult to watch Alabama last year, because knowing that they couldn't make those checks, it just put them in a lose-lose situation. You got a young secondary who can't make the checks, who really playing on the road, can't hear the calls, and it's just blown coverages, and we gave up big plays. So that's the frustrating part about it. But I know for sure Coach Saban's going to turn it around this year.
Now, Chris, you are more than just a former Alabama player. You are also the founder and CEO of Tap Inc. out of Birmingham. And, Tap, you and the brand, you guys are taking this thing globally, man. I mean, you guys were at the LinkedIn complex, the LinkedIn campus. You guys were at the Microsoft campus. So how are you seeing this company jump from being just a local success to now everybody's becoming aware of Tap and want to build with what you got going on?
Well, it's twofold for us. We've been a grassroots organization the last 10 years, and now we're looking to go on a national stage and really expand our brand. And mental health is a huge part of athletics that nobody really talks about. So I'll give you a study that Tap we've been conducting on our own, and 60% of athletes 3 to 5 years after they're done playing have suicidal thoughts, right? And people say, well, how is that happening, right? How you have suicidal thoughts? And it's because a lot of athletes are struggling with identity crisis. So what I'm doing is going around, one, we address mental health, but then positive thinking. So we're going to these corporations, trying to really find internships, jobs, opportunities. So when guys are done playing ball, they really can transition to something that can help them be sustainable and be productive in life. Because, after you're done playing ball, it's great. But everybody say, what are you doing next if you don't go to the NFL? Even if you go to the NFL, you got to transition to something else. So that's why I think what we're doing with Tap and the success we've been having has been tremendous, because I really understand it. And I've got a personal understanding of it because I had suicidal thoughts. I was depressed. And so I understand what the athletes are dealing with. And that's why we've been able to have the success we've been having in the last years.
Now, on my end, man, I got one final one for you here as we're joined live on In My Own Words by Chris Rogers, former Alabama defensive back and the founder and CEO of Tap Inc. out of Birmingham. Chris, you have a saying called pay it forward. And you have taught this to former players that have been in Tap, that have worked with Tap, that have learned from you. Could you break down what does that mean when you tell somebody, hey, be sure to pay it forward? What are you saying? What does that message do?
Well, it kind of resonates because it kind of gets you out of your situation, out of your comfort zone. So, like, when I was depressed, right, like, I didn't want to focus on me, right? And then what helped me get through my depression was just pouring to other people, right? So how can I pour into somebody else? Because you think you really got it bad, but then after you go and, like, help somebody out, volunteer or give somebody some guidance, you're like, man, my situation's not that bad. So I really started off just saying, paying it forward, man. Don't do something for somebody and don't expect anything in return. And doors just open up for you. And it really has worked wonders and miracles for us. And if I can just have our young men understanding the points of paying it forward in today's time with everything's going on, I mean, it's a game changer.
Live here with Chris Rogers, former Alabama defensive back and the founder and CEO of Tap Inc. out of Birmingham, live here on In My Own Words, the podcast. Chris, definitely appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with me here on the show, and keep up the outstanding work, my man, that you're doing.
Oh, no doubt, man. Like I said, thanks for having me. If anybody want to follow us, go to tapinc.nfp.org. Instagram is TAP_NFP. Like I said, man, I'm just blessed to have this platform and looking forward to changing lives.
Appreciate it, Chris, man. Be good.
Thank you. God bless.
Chris Rogers, their former Alabama defensive back from 05 to 09, part of that first national championship team with head coach Nick Saban at Alabama, and a businessman at that. Also, people, be sure to check out his book, Beyond the Field, An Athlete's Guide to Greatness. Very, very good book there, Beyond the Field, An Athlete's Guide to Greatness. But we're going to go to another break here on the show. But upon our return, we jump back into the YouTube chat line to answer some of your thoughts, questions, and concerns after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in the Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.